Now you're living in Dallas now, right?
I reside in Frisco, yes.
Frisco, right, right.
Oh, and I love
Okay,
that area.
yeah.
Hmm.
So we're gonna get ready in a minute because I just want to. We already on. So minutes.
We are live.
Yeah. But I just want to make sure you knew that she was a relative of mine.
Oh, I saw Renfro. I
Yeah.
Yeah.
assumed already.
Yeah.
Let me get it.
Okay. That was quick.
Eh, that was a
I don't
cool
know what I
three.
don't know what happened. They just cut off. Okay, so let's get started with our show.
All right.
Welcome to Knowledge is Power Podcast Live with your host, Tony Renfro, and my co-hosts, LaDonna Sherwood and Francis Larkins.
Knowledge is Power Podcast Live starts now.
Francis, tell us,
Hey,
hey, how are you? We're
I'm
back
good. How are
again
you
on a
today?
Tuesday. I'm great, great. We've got a special guest tonight, and we are going to be discussing National Domestic Violence Awareness Month with a relative of mine, a distant relative of mine, Linnell um, Renfro FAUK. I got that right that time, didn't I?
You got it.
All right. Well, would you tell them about the NAACP Youth Council Golf
Ab-
Tournament?
Absolutely. I am proud to say that the NAACP of Beaumont and the Youth Council is hosting its first annual Lafayette Spivey Juniors Golf Tournament, and it is scheduled for in a couple of days, actually, October the 9th, 2021. Pre-registration is $65 for one player and $260 for a team. As far as we know, there's still teams and spots available, so sign up. Registration is $75 for the first player and 300 for a team. So 7 a.m. registration begins, 7:15 putting contest, 8:30 shotgun start, 1 p.m. lunch and awards. So register, sponsor, or donate, and that contact information is listed right there, and it's BMT NAACP at hotmail.com.
All right. Thank you so
You are
much.
so
I'm
welcome.
trying to figure out where am I now. I'm switching behind the screen on so much, so I'm going to go back and read.
You
I
just got
have to.
so much going
Yeah, I'm
on.
going to read this because I could not.
Do it.
I could not convert it from a DOXC or CX to a PDF or JPEG. So I'm going to read it out. The Baptist Ministers Union of Beaumont, Texas, and vicinity, President Pastor Elmo Shashan. The
Okay.
Faith and the Medical Science Working Together Forum, and it's going to be at the Barton Chapel Baptist Church, 3495 Rolling Road. The host is going to be Reverend Aaron Reynolds Jr.
All
That's
right.
this Sunday, August the 10th at 4 o'clock. It is going to be great. It's going to give a vaccine misinformation. It's going to tell you about all those good things that's going on. The faulty thinking and understanding of the tracking device and mark of the beast, and inability to have children. It's going to give you all kind of things that's going to give you those people who are watching. I mean, I'm sorry, not watching, but I've always heard about things about the vaccine and misinformed. So they're also going to talk about God gives us the freedom to choose, and they're going to explain the social media versus science. What are you going to do? The choices, and taking the vaccine effect community and how you live. So that's going to be great. That's going to be this Sunday, the 10th. And also remember, if you're going to attend, the temperatures are checked and masks and social distancing will be enforced at this event. It's going to be a great event. If you can find this information on Knowledge is Power podcast page, and you can share it and print it and move on. All right. So I thought I heard so.
Hallelujah.
All right. So now I'm going to bring my. Look, wait a minute. What is this? Who is this?
What?
Oh,
I can't say nothing. I was MIA on Sunday.
Yeah. So, hey, how are you?
I don't know if she can hear us.
Hey, I was. Can y'all?
Yeah.
I was picking up prints, and I'm still running around. But anyway, I'm here.
Okay, great.
We're
great. Knowledge is Power Podcast Live is now on Facebook, Spotify, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Apple, iTunes, and quite a bit more. Okay, so let me bring out our guest, and there she is, my favorite cousin. Another one of my favorite cousins. That's NELLE Renfro FAULK. So let me ask you this. This is the first time you and I have met.
Yes.
On this podcast.
Lord have mercy.
We met 10 minutes ago.
Lord have mercy.
Yes. You can tell her Renfro, huh? I'm telling you. We step out there now, but we don't take no mess.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. We're here tonight, and I'm gonna let my ladies, my co-hosts LaDonna and Francis, is going to really host this show because it's about National Domestic Violence Awareness, and also we want NELLE to just kind of tell us a little bit about her foundations, and it's called We Are Survivors Foundation. So,
I'm sorry, I didn't know if I needed to jump right in there.
Jump right on in, cousin. Okay. All right.
Well, yes, thank you so much first off for having me on here, because anywhere that I can jump in to try to help educate and talk about this topic is a plus for me and my organization and the others that are out here doing the advocacy. So I thank you first and foremost for having me on the show. I want to say hello to the ladies. We Are Survivors Foundation. Yes, that is the organization that I work with, crusades again for domestic and family violence. But we are survivors. When you really hear that, you think about the fact that we survive a whole lot of everything. So although our organization stands on that platform, we get inquiries for a lot of different things that people are going through out here. But yeah, Domestic Violence Awareness Month is in October, and it's always been a hot topic as far as needing to spread the word and needing to just end it. But the pandemic has increased numbers dramatically. So now more than ever, do we need to band together to spread the word.
Okay. So with this organization, We Are Survivors Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned earlier behind the scenes that you were a board member. How did you find your way? What pulled your heartstrings to this organization?
Yes. So everybody on the board is actually survivors, and that was not by design. We just gravitated towards one another. The president of this organization is Dr. Wanda McKinley, and I own a couple of other businesses. So in reaching out to her and wanting to donate one of my services to something she was speaking at, we kind of connected and we just really took off from there. I was enamored with her story. She's gone through 24 years consecutive abuse by her father and stepfather. So listening to her speak, I mean, a pin dropped, and my heart I have a domestic violence background as well. It was very easy for me to say, hey, put me in the game, coach. Where do I need to go and what do I
Right.
need to assist here?
So how long have you been a part of this organization? I see it was established in December of 2014.
Yes, I've been with the organization for 5 years at this
Oh,
point.
wow.
Mm-hmm,
Oh,
mm-hmm.
wow. Okay. I see
And
also
if
that,
you can,
oh,
I'm
go ahead,
sorry,
LaDonna.
if you could just tell us a little bit about what all does We Are Survivors do? What do you guys offer, and what do you guys do for survivors?
Yes. So when the survivors reach out to us, obviously we've connected with a lot of other organizations out around DFW and in some
Mhm.
surrounding states. So if we don't have the resources available, obviously we've built relationships where we can direct, people who need that assistance. But we provide Survivors Avenue Support Group. We also partnered with El Central College for their Pathways program that we
Okay.
can help people go back to school if they need to once they're able to get, maybe out of their situation and needing some assistance there. We do individual and group counseling. We have licensed therapist sessions. We do education, obviously conduct webinars. We speak at, schools as needed or different events throughout the city. We host an annual mother-daughter retreat
Oh, nice.
to where we help to try to strengthen relationships that may have been damaged in one way or another. We have partnered with organizations overseas as well. So we have a sister organization that works with us out of Europe, and we have ties and organizations in Nigeria as well.
Oh,
That
wow.
we're just trying to get out there
Oh, you're
everywhere we
broad.
can. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And
Oh,
obviously speaking engagements, and we also have a talk show. There's
I see
4.
that. We Are
Yeah.
Survivors talk show. I was going to
Yes,
ask you about that. That's pretty interesting.
it is.
Tell us
It's
a
on
little,
Roku.
tell us a lot about that. Roku?
Yes, it's on
Okay.
Roku, and it comes on Tuesdays at 7:30. So it again just comes directly in our want to educate and keep spreading the word and just having topics. People will come on, they'll discuss what they've been through, and they'll help us to empower others. Again, this platform opened the door for us to have people come on and talk about a lot of different things. So we don't really keep it specifically to domestic violence in that lane because there's a need for a lot of assistance in a lot of areas out here.
So I found it quite interesting because automatically, like probably many others, when you think of domestic violence or abuse, you think of women. I
Mhm.
noticed here that you not only mention women, but men.
Yes,
I was just
because
getting ready to say, do you find that many of the domestic violence survivors are both men and women, or women only, or how does that work?
we do have, I will say that we do have more women that will reach out and want to talk about it. And I think some of that may come a little bit from the male ego, just a bit. It's different when a man's kind of going through a domestic violence situation, but they are out there and they definitely have reached out to us. I recall one day just kind of being on social media, our platform there, and a gentleman reached out to me directly from Spain, and he was panicked. He needed somewhere to go immediately. And I'm here in the US thinking, how do I help this individual clear in Spain? But it was just a blessed day because we got it done. I literally was able to, I'm talking to this person in one, probably my phone, I think, and I'm on my laptop on the other. And because we also have support from them here, I just kind of did some searches and was able to connect him with assistance there.
Oh,
So
that's terrific.
yeah, you just got to get involved. You just really got to get involved sometimes. Yeah.
So, what is it? The major request that a lot of your survivors of abuse need? Is there main things, or is there a plethora, or?
Um, it definitely depends on the individual circumstance.
Mhm.
They a lot of times need somewhere to go now,
Yeah.
right now. And the heartbreaking part of that is there's not enough shelters. There's not enough beds, even right here in the DFW, which you would think have, tons because of the number of people that are here. There's a major shortage. So
Okay.
our goal at this point is to secure transitional housing That way they can, if they need to come right now, we can get them there. Now we do have some, again, other organizations that can work with them on an emergency need, but that's if they can get in.
Okay. Do you guys have 24-hour a call center? How do you connect with the
We
people in need of your services?
Yes. Okay. So we definitely always out there putting out pamphlets, spreading the word, using our foundation number. We do have the number out here. There's also, and I'm sorry, I'll say what that number is. The phone number is 214-454-2933. And they can call that number and somebody is always answering there. Then, of course, you have, the National Domestic Violence Hotline, and that number is 1-800-799-SAFE. So between those, hopefully, as quickly as possible, somebody can get there to provide some sort of assistance.
Okay.
Linnell, question.
Yes.
Are you a witness of domestic violence?
Not only have I witnessed it, I've experienced it firsthand, and different types.
Right. And you know
Of
what? And the
domestic
reason I'm
violence.
saying that I have never said this before, never said it before, and I can say it now. But I grew up in a domestic violence surroundings as a child, and there was no support system. And as a kid growing up, and nobody knows what goes on in everybody's house. You say, "Oh, that's a beautiful family. They got together. They're doing this and they're doing that." But I grew up in a domestic violent house, and my mother, all she can do is just get that ass whooping, and we all go to bed. We couldn't, the only support system we had to run to the my grandmother's house, her mother's house. But I wouldn't want that on anybody to grow up into because it affects you mentally.
It does. Yes.
And I promised growing up, and that's what I'm going to say, growing up, I said I would never, ever be that type of person. I'm never going to live my life that way. And I catch myself sometimes, it crossed my mind. Now, I am 66 years old. I don't have a memory like I used to. I can remember things that happened in life, and I did so much in life. But I can remember those whippings and those domestic incidents that happened in our household that kept a bitter taste in my mouth. And I applaud you for what you're doing because now today it's no excuse for a woman or man to accept domestic abuse because there are outlets, there's their support system that they can go to.
I just think that sometimes, Tony, being in a domestic violence situation, it's not that there's not an excuse. Sometimes people really believes that the situation is hopeless. They believe this is how domestic violence actually takes place oftentimes is that they believe there is no other option or this is the best option that they're in or sometimes that their options are few or that they will not be believed or that they will not be received or that life cannot continue without this person. That's why these particular programs are very important.
Right. Right.
And I'd like to add to that, like domestic violence is defined as physical, emotional, psychological, financial,
But
and
child, I was
stalking or sexual harm. So you have to think of how many areas is that being pulled from, as this person is victimizing someone else. It's layers upon layers. So oftentimes the victim, it's a warped sense of love, first off, and then secondly, you've got all these other things coming at you. Like she said, you might feel like you can't get out. You don't have the financial means to get out. He's going to find me. Somebody's going to tell him there's no safe place to go. I've got these kids. What am I going to do with these 5 kids? Hopefully
Right.
that's not the case, but it's so much that
Right.
will keep a person stuck in that position.
Well, I was jokingly saying that, but I just couldn't imagine, feeling not so much as desperate, but just having no other alternatives but to stay in that situation. So it's really good when you have people with a heart to, to organize such a group such a meaningful group as what you're a part of, I just think it's it's awesome. Because those, I mean, again, I can't imagine it, but if I felt hopeless, if I felt like there was no place for me to go and no one to turn to, no one I could trust, I mean, it's good to know that organizations like yours exist. And you guys are based in Dallas, right? I hear you say DFW.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So our target audience is here in Beaumont, Golden Triangle, and the surrounding areas. Do you guys have a partnership with anyone in our area locally, for anyone that may be watching, anyone that may be afraid to speak out about it, and here it just so happens to hear this tonight?
Yes. No, and I'm sorry. No, we don't have partnership there, but we are open to that. Anyone who feels like, I mean, we are totally welcoming to anyone who, I won't say as far as board, because you do have to have qualifications to be on board.
Right.
But, you know, as far as team members and, you know, people out there who are kind of what we can consider our own whistleblowers that can let us know if other people need help, we will do the best that we can from this area, but we would love a partnership with other organizations there.
Okay.
And I
Very
know
good.
that locally we have Gina and Regina who own the salon that have a nonprofit, a Heart for Purpose, and they work with domestic violence survivors. I don't have their phone number right off, but while I'm on, I will look for that just for somebody locally
Who
to
is it?
have an organization.
Is it Deluxe
It's
Chavo?
Gina. Okay, yes, Deluxe Chavo, and they
Yeah,
have a nonprofit, a Heart for Purpose, and
yeah.
it's geared
Lassine and Gina.
towards. Correct. Okay. Yeah, and Regina too. Anyway, geared towards a Heart for Purpose. I don't know all the specs and phone numbers. I'm gonna look that up, but they do that as well.
If you ladies are listening, put your contact information in the comments. So what is your greatest moment of being in this organization?
My greatest moment. I
Has there
think,
been one of those moments that you knew exactly that you were in the right place, other than meeting the founder?
yes, when I knew, I used to pray. Well, I pray a lot, but I used to have a specific prayer, and that was, I wanted
I'm
to
sorry.
be strong like a lioness for the kingdom. And I wanted my roar to be heard. I knew that I was in the right place when I found out the organization's slogan was "Hear Me Roar." And so as I'm talking to the founder and we're coming together, that's what really let me know on a spiritual level that I was in the right place at the right time to be doing what I was doing with the foundation. My
Okay.
greatest accomplishment, I don't know that I can say I have one, because again, people have reached out to us for a number of reasons. And it only can warm your heart over and over when you can help them, help them through it or get them the assistance they need. But for somebody, again, I'm sorry, to contact me from Spain and me to be able to help get that, look, we're putting in work over here. So that was a very, very proud moment for me. I've never been to Spain, so I don't know
No.
anybody in Spain, so that was a proud
Right.
moment for me.
Your work is global.
Yeah, so we've actually got
Awesome.
more following by way of the TV show and the organization. We did an international awards gala here in Dallas.
Oh, wow.
We had people come in from other countries and had to go through a lot to get them cleared to come here. And it was at the Historical Hall of State in Fair Park. That gained us, that also helped to gain us our international notice, if you will. So we've got a larger following overseas than we do here domestically.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yes, we do.
Do you find that you have more cases in other places, or in other countries, or just other places in the world, like more than the United States? I mean, not that I would know, but I would just think not so much.
Africa especially. Africa especially.
Really?
Yeah. Africa especially, because you're coming into tradition, you're coming into now modern times, and people,
Right.
it's that sort of thing.
Okay.
Yeah. But then
Wow.
again, layer on the pandemic. Now you're stuck in the place where you can't go to work to escape him because he's being aggressive. You can't do these different things. So now you're isolated to the house.
Right.
So not only did domestic violence increase, child abuse shot through the roof.
Right.
You know, the kids aren't at school where somebody can look over and say, oh my gosh, I might need to report this. So that means all of us who are outside and at home as well have to just kind of be not all in their business, but you just got to take note when you can tell that something's not right.
You know, here's another domestic violence. Everybody thinks saying domestic violence is physical, but there also is more mental domestic violence than anything, and they play the role of the victim, and I've seen it happen many times before. And like you said, it's mentally it's very devastating to you.
It is,
because they have no self-esteem. They don't know if they can make it without that relationship. I better stay here because I don't know how I'm going to live. But it's not that. It's just not that way.
Like you said, a little bit hopeless. You know, you have to just want to keep the faith and know that something better is out there for you.
Right.
You know, it can get pretty bad. You know, you may have to rely on a shelter for a short period of time. And none of these things are favorable. Nobody wants to do that, truly, you know, especially if you don't have family that you can count on. I will say that at one point in time when I was going through my own domestic violence situation at 17, 18 years old, right? I would go flee to family, but because family loved him, and I come from like 8 direct women as sisters from my grandmother.
Right.
So they would, you know, in that space, it's a thing of, well, you have a man, he's working, he's taking care of home, you just need to go home. And I'm like, this is not right. Like, something is really wrong.
Cool way of thinking.
Something is really wrong. So, you know, you can't, a lot of times, you know, he smooths his way. Oh, I just love her, you know, and I need her to come back home and these things or whatever. But yeah, if you don't have somewhere that you can go, that you just feel safe, yeah, you will oftentimes be stuck right there.
So
you said, yeah, it is. And you said that those numbers basically heightened during COVID.
They did, yes.
I did
aggression.
Yeah, and frustration. Yeah, yeah.
So right now, that needs to be counseling as well. Mental counseling. I'm talking for the children.
Yes.
Because they can grow up with that, and it'll affect them, and their actions are become, you know, just their reactions of things like that would make them confused and anxiety, and they don't know how to handle those things because they're at that age. They're too young to know how to handle it.
Correct.
So a lot of them need mentally therapy.
And this is definitely where the generational curse
absolutely
comes in.
That's right. That's what we have from our fathers, you know, mothers, whatever. And that's how the generation curse happens. And, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, you're the expert. You go.
No, I didn't mean to overstep you.
No.
I guess when I think of that, it just comes down to, like you said, the children are watching this. Again, that's that warped sense of love. You know, this is just our normalcy. Like, we see this all the time. So this has to be the way you do things as an adult. So when she gets out of line, I'm just going to snatch her, you know, or whatever the case is. But you're right. The therapy needs to start at a very young age. I'm completely on board for that. Everybody, we all need therapy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everybody.
Absolutely.
And that's okay. Okay.
They say I'm bipolar, but everybody's bipolar.
To some degree or another.
Yeah. Hell, I'm just crazy.
Yeah.
It's okay to as long as you admit it.
I told you I am. I am. It don't need me hiding about it. But yeah, so we all have a little taste of it. But I'm going to go to the comment board because this is something that someone brought up, and I'd like to say this is Tasha Davis. She said that's some of the things that brings to kind of Gabby Patillo case. She admitted the assault on her fiance. Now she's dead. Had someone gone to jail. She may still be alive. Whether or not she said it to protect him, we will never know. And it sounded like she was trying to protect him as well.
Because you don't want them to get in trouble. It's like you have that moment where you may have to fight back. I've been there and done that as well. Like my abuser just kept testing it. And after a while, I got to the point where I was just like, I can't keep doing this. So when I actually came out fighting, I blacked his eye. Right. I blacked his eye, but that was an attempt to get him off of me because he had me up by my neck.
Right.
So, you do get finally to that point of where you have to fight back at some point. But then again, here comes the police. And that's where that catch-22 is. When people get killed for intervening, like I'm trying to save you, but then you are siding here. And so that can become a big problem. Yeah.
I'm going to get to another one. Terry Roy, I don't know if he's still around. The abuser usually takes the emotional stability from the abuse and makes them think it's okay. What do you got to say about that, Nannelle?
It's dead on. It's dead on. If I can confuse, just keep you confused, keep you in an emotional roller coaster type state. You're fearful one minute, I'm loving you the next. Like it's just a myriad of all of these trapped feelings. Yeah, and you don't know whether you're coming or going at times.
So sound like to me is that there is not enough support system to help the victim.
No, there's not.
And
there's probably not enough people just encouraging them to come forward and live in their truth, and that this what you're going through does not determine your value, worth, or your destination, that you can recover, heal, and grow from whatever point you are at. And when we don't make that normal, they feel like, oh, this is tainting me.
Yes.
Or this is devaluing me, or this is some type of way changing my ability to be loved or to give love, or and receive love. And so when we don't create spaces where people can tell their truth, live in their truth, and grow, heal, and recover from that, then they don't feel the value in being honest, or in coming forward, or in removing themselves from the situation. And it takes years to get to that point on your own,
And it's probably a little bit of embarrassment there, owning it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I can see that.
The abuser definitely makes them think, from time to, throughout, that I'm really all you need, especially if you have someone who's being abused financially, where they don't even get their own money in their pockets. Like, you walk in here with this check and you put it in my hand immediately, and I have to ration you now a little bit of money so that you can go do the things. Like, I'm providing you your care with your hard-earned stacks. Like, this is a whole problem right here, So when just all of those things right there, now you've got me dependent on you just for my very survival, but I made that money.
Right. So back to a point that you guys were making earlier when it comes to counseling, does your organization offer that counseling, like once that victim is maybe on their feet with a job or whatever their situation is it continuous? If they need counseling, do you kind of aid them for as long as they need it, or are they released?
Oh, no, we aid them for as long as they need it. As long as they want to come to the counseling sessions in the groups, we are here for them. We have licensed therapists on our board. We have energy healers and, mindset coaches. We have life coaches. We have people, like I said, a plethora of just resources on the board and off of the board. So however long they need us, we're there for them. Again, I'm going to plug for that transitional house though. So we need everybody to go to their website, because at the bottom is a little donate button, and every dollar adds up. We're going to keep continuing to put everything we have together with our grant writing and so on and so forth to eventually have this transitional house.
Okay.
So there's plenty of property, vacant properties that's maybe with an old school, old hospital. Um, are there grant? Now, I understand. I heard you say grant. Are there grant money out there to help to convert those places into uh, housing for domestic violence victims?
I do know that homes and stuff can be donated. Now we have grants. I'm not familiar with that lane. Obviously, that's not the lane that I'm in per se
Right,
totally. But we do have grant writers on our team that take up, that sort of thing for
right.
us.
Because again, I come from a domestic violent home, and that touches me. It touches my heart when about anybody that become a victim of because of what I have experienced. And I asked that question because maybe I might want to look into it as well.
Okay. I definitely can get you some information on it and see what, I
Yes.
can do to connect you with one of the grant writers that can at least give you the
Yeah.
information.
Well, Terry has another question he wants to ask. I think is that the mind of an abuser is a complex one. Does she think? Does you think it's a chemical imbalance in the brain?
That's an interesting question, and the first time I've ever been asked something like that. I'm
Yeah.
sure that a chemical imbalance of any sort could probably have the possibility, of causing someone to be unstable and not just thinking properly and correctly. Um, I don't know, like by like a number or percentage
Mm-hmm.
of how many people that that might make up, or
Mm-hmm.
any studies or anything that validate that specifically, but it could very well be.
I'm gonna say this. I think it is because I witnessed this. I saw it, and of course, I have a little chemical imbalance myself, and so
I'm sorry, Tony.
it's
I
it's
love you.
it's controllable, I mean, I knew I was a little off here, and the brain wasn't getting enough oxygen, and I knew I was all messed up. So I take one a day, and I'm good to go. But I'm not ashamed of it. I let everyone know that, hey, yes, I do have a chemical imbalance, and if I didn't tell you, you would have never know because of the way I am. I take care of my business. In other words, I take care of my medication every day. It's like I take one pill a day, and everything else go away. But
So silly.
but again,
Well, and I mean, that's a good question, but I think that question would apply to both abuser and victim because you might have to have a chemical imbalance to sometimes endure some of these things.
yeah,
Something may
Yes.
be chemically imbalanced in your brain as well. Maybe you need some medicine to balance you out to let you know this is not right.
right,
There you go.
right, right,
All right.
right,
Very good. Very
right,
good.
right. And one thing about it, and I know is because I'm saying when a person with a chemical imbalance does things, and then it's nobody's fault but yours, not mine. And when the brain does not get enough rest, and everybody, let me just say that everybody has some type of imbalance,
I agree.
okay? And it's up to you or that person if they don't recognize it, because they're not going to recognize it themselves, has to be, and because of black people, and I hate to say it this way, but we don't believe in counseling. We don't need to believe in therapy. We don't believe in going to the doctor and say, Doc, let me lay on the sofa. Okay?
Oh, I agree.
Because, I mean, we're not going to do that because we're just, hey, we just, that, hey,
We just have it all
yeah,
together. Yeah, we just have it all
No,
together.
or
Right.
we've been conditioned
yeah,
to, or we've been conditioned to pray about it or take it to the
yeah,
Lord in prayer or go to
yeah,
church.
yeah.
And oftentimes it's not just that. And I believe in God and I believe in church, but some of these things need to be addressed in therapy and counseling, like Tony said. We can't just pray about some of these things.
Right.
Some things we need to go see a psychiatrist. We need to go see our therapist. We need to go see somebody that's clinically licensed to handle the mental issues that we are facing, not just take it to the Lord in prayer. While that's a good answer, that's not the end all be all. If you have high blood pressure, you're going to go to a doctor. So if you have a mental issue, you probably need to see somebody medically inclined to deal with your mental issue. You know, and I think that we haven't normalized mental health and mental health issues enough in the Black community. It creates a little bit of issue on the abuser and the recipient, you know, on the victim, because the victim is thinking, I'm gonna just pray about it. And I mean, but God might have just sent you a boat, a train, and a plane to get out of the situation, and you ignoring it because maybe you got some type of imbalance too.
Right.
Right. So, and it starts at a young age too. It starts young, and them can't grow up to be crazy than a road lizard, you know. But
and a lot of times it's learned behavior too.
Right.
You know, like I said, when you come from the household that's acting like that, and they see that all the time, you know, they come to school, they don't know how to manage anger. They're frustrated. I mean, that happens though with kids now. I mean, it's so much. I feel like there's just a sensory overload of things going on. You constantly have the TV going, you got the games going, and I'm just speaking as far as the kids right now. You got the games going. I know my nephew, I would go in there and have to pull him off, and the whole time he's playing something where he's just blowing people's brains out, you know, and just this game is like way too much. So I feel like it's just a whole bunch of things that can put these kids in a state of where they just are frustrated and they have anger management issues.
Absolutely. I agree with you. I agree with you. So, you know, but as a witness, I am truly into defeating this, if I can, may I say. You know, and I used to ask myself all the time in prayer, you know, I said, Lord, why did you put me with this illness, you know, and I would pray for it all the time because it was uncontrollable, you know. I was a good guy for 3 hours, and I was a hell of a guy. I was a red hellraiser for the next 15, 20 minutes, and like, ooh, did I do that? And, hey, everybody, how you doing? Everybody's good? Like, it's nothing happened. But it reminded me, I reminded myself, and it reminded me, wait a minute, you acting just like back then when you were growing up as a child. You acting like your dad. Do you want to grow up that way? And I caught myself, and I seeked help. And that would save me. Because at my age, back then, they didn't have the medication to help you. I mean, they'll say you just half-ass crazy, you know. But
you're just putting on, or you just acting like that.
You acting like your dad. You just like your daddy, you know. But I knew that I didn't want to live that life. And anybody around me, I wanted to be loving and peace, and I just couldn't stand that, and I hated it. And I seek professional help on my own to make sure that I was taken care of. And today I can say, hey, yes, I'm good to go, you know. But like I said, I got to take that one a day, you know, one a day. And so I would tell my dad, you know, and when I got older and he was older and he had slowed down and he was changed his life and he was in the Lord, he was crying. And I would tell him, I said, you know, have you ever thought about going to see a psychiatrist? He said, for what? Ain't nothing wrong with me, it's something wrong with you. You know? They didn't believe in it, you know?
No, not at all.
No, the whole family was crazy. You know, all of them.
Letting men in certain times.
Linnell, you know you're Renfro, you know.
Baby, she like, Tony, don't do that. She like, Tony, do not do that.
How many
she
people
like,
is
Tony,
watching
what
you?
is wrong with you? You know what? Every time we have a guest on, Tony, you do some shit you don't have no business doing.
I couldn't let that slide. But I had to. It had to come. But
guilty by association. That's really what this is turning into.
But Linnell, it's so good to have you. And wait a minute, I want to go back to the board again because it's getting good. I'm getting more and more and more. I want to keep you. I want to keep us long tonight. But let me go here to let's say here the domestic started when you was dating. Now domestic abuse wasn't started when I was dating. It must have happened when you was dating, Kim. No, I don't understand that one. Domestic abuse starts when you're dating. Oh, it starts when you're dating. I don't know. Did it start with you were dating Linnell?
I mean, it can start really at any time if you get with the wrong, you know, you get with the wrong somebody around you. So I would agree that that's true as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, we have to teach the kids the warning of this, and
Yes.
any type of not just physically, but any type of mentally abuse can affect a child or a spouse. It doesn't matter. It's not prejudice. It can affect anybody, and any dramatic drama. A kid needs to see therapy. I need to seek therapy. Period. I don't care. I don't care how bad it look. It doesn't look bad. It looks good when you go and see about therapy. And I want to encourage those who have a child that has witnessed it, and is growing up, and you don't want your child to be a common copy of that. I would suggest that you seek therapy. Seek that child's therapy. You might need to seek therapy too. Okay. Yeah. I mean, the spouse. I mean, the parents need to seek therapy. I know if that therapy was around when I was around, I'll still be.
It's not too late.
It's never too late. No, it's never too late. It's never too late. You know, I'm bypassed the sofa duty. You know. But anyway, guys, it's wait a minute. I have somebody here that this looks good. I'm gonna do this. You know, Kim Broussard Dixon. She said my grandfather was abusive. My grandmother saw signs when they were dating, but she did not know to pay attention to the signs. Baby, I'm gonna check those signs out.
I think because they start out maybe sporadic. You know, like how when you're in love, like you really don't want to make anybody mad off top anyway.
Right.
So, you know, you're having this good time, it's fun, but then something will happen. And then, like in my case, the first time that it happened was he pushed me. You know, he kind of pushed me, and I was like, did he mean to do that? You know, or whatever the case is. But I thought surely he didn't mean to do that. You know, and drugs also fueled him behind the scenes. He would get upset because he would disappear for a few days here and there at a time, and just even out of genuine concern, like, well, where have you been? You know, anything could have happened. Then I'm getting jacked up. I'm asking too many questions. And mind you, this individual was 10 years older than me. I was 17 at the time. So yes, he was. And so the warning signs, they're definitely there. I can leave some here if you'd like. I can run through a list of some of the warning signs. One is telling you that you never do anything right, kind of always coming down on you. Right? Just giving you the verbal negatives, showing extreme jealousy of your friends or time you spend away from them. Like you can't go anywhere really, you know, you getting questioned just beyond belief for this 5 minutes that you're not in that person's presence. Preventing or discouraging you from spending time with friends, family members, or peers. Absolutely. That comes from me needing to isolate you. So if I isolate you, then I can do whatever I want to you. And half the time, you know, your family's not going to come looking for you because you haven't been around, or you're not really talking to them, that sort of thing. Anything insulting, demeaning, or shaming you, especially in front of other people. You know, want to dominance, control, want to exhibit that in front of others. Preventing you from making your own decisions, including about working or attending school. Controlling your finances in the household without discussion, you know, taking your money away from you, or refusing to provide money for necessary expenses, which we talked about a little bit earlier. Pressuring you to have sex or perform sexual acts you're not comfortable with. No is still no at some point, you know, regardless of when it's said, that's just what it is. Pressuring you to use drugs or alcohol. Keep you in an inebriated state, then you can do whatever, you know, you're going to do what I tell you to do half the time anyway. Okay. Intimidating you through threatening looks or actions. I got good with that. Like, he would grab me by my throat, or I remember the first time he just hauled up and punched me in my mouth, and sent me over a coffee table. So by the time I got over the excruciating pain of this migraine, you just gave me. Now, if we're out and you just kind of even give me a certain look, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to react to that. And luckily, let me tell you, I'm one of the lucky ones, because, honey, it didn't take too many times of that. I wasn't the one who, just stayed in that for consecutive years. I know I had to go. Insulting your parenting, threatening to harm or take away your children or pets. That was his next recourse of action with me, because we had a daughter during that time. Now I'm 17 with the baby.
Wow.
So in my mind, I don't know how I'm going to take care of her. I want her dad there, because my dad, was kind of in and out. Love him so much. But that's just a cycle.
Right.
Easily just to accept it. Right. Intimidating you with weapons, guns, knives, different things like that. And destroying your belongings or your home. I'm working hard for it. You're tearing up everything that I'm trying to accomplish. Keep me feeling like I'm being set back all the time. It still feels, like you said, embarrassing. It's a blemish. I don't want to talk about it. I worked for you, still in my money. I can't replenish it. So those are some of the warning signs. And even with these younger kids, well, they grow up into that if they don't get the proper counseling. But it's just watching the kids too, for things like, if you're getting called to school all the time because the best thing that your son can do is fight every time he has a problem, then we need to get this young man in therapy, figure out what those triggers are. Why is he so mad all the time?
Right.
Why is he so mad? I'm really hoping in this day and age where we're now, everybody's enlightened, everybody's healing, everybody's got a life coach, everybody, I'm really hoping that it might not be immediate, but the wave of like people getting into meditation and just that self-reflection and just, I'm really hoping that we see, I'm sorry, I thought that was my, that we see that turnaround. It's going to take, like the generational curses obviously have been set. So now I'm hoping that this self-awareness period that we're all being enlightened to, it's not going to be now, but it's going to set the stage maybe for people to understand therapy is being talked about a lot more, meditation to calm your nerves and different outlets are out there. So I'm just hoping that this is the beginning of the movement that's going to kind of help, along with God being by our side and prayer and all these other things that we know how to do, that eventually we'll see some sort of turnaround in these numbers.
Yes.
Amen.
I'm hoping for that as well. Our time is up, and I appreciate you, cousin.
Oh, thank you.
NELLE Renfro FAUK. She is from Fresno, Texas. She's on the board of We Are Survivors Foundation, and also an advocate for the National Domestic Violence Awareness. We appreciate you, and we would love to have those who watched and listened to it to share it with those their friends, neighbors, and loved ones, because it is very important that we kind of try to prevent a lot of this from happening, and not only that, to educate you as well. For the month of October, we have so many things going on Knowledge is Power podcast this month. We've got guests that's going to be joining us from the Breast Cancer Month and Breast Cancer Month, and I think we're going to have the Blindness Month as well, right?
Yes, we're going to have an advocate.
Yeah, the blind.
Yeah.
We're going to have that, and we're going to have guests here every week on those three topics. So, again, thank you, NELLE, for joining us, and I hope you join us as well. Any lasting words?
Nothing.
Any closing words?
No closing words. Just take care of each other.
Yes,
we are here only for a short time as it is, so
right,
we need to really love on one another.
That's right. That's my favorite. That's my favorite word, love. I just love. I have a passion to love. And if I can't do that every day, it ain't me. Okay. So I try to love and care. I got, we still have faults. I have my faults, but Lord, I just love to keep loving with it.
Me too. I love people.
I love it, baby. I love it. Because I'm about to ask you, because, we down the line now, though. We ain't that close.
That's that deal. Did you miss it? Did you miss it?
Well, this won't be the last time. This won't be the last time. We definitely now need to get in the same place. I would love to come there and meet everyone and just have a good time.
Yeah, great. We thank you so much. Francis and LaDonna, have anything you want to say, sweetheart?
I do. Thank you so much for your work and your supporting such an important cause to your community. And just keep doing what you're doing and loving one another. I love that.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love you.
I just want to say that
Thank you for watching Knowledge is Power Podcast Live. Be sure to like and subscribe to all Knowledge is Power social media pages.